You know that feeling. You text a girl something simple, and then you find yourself checking your phone every 5 minutes. You're instantly starting to overthink like, wait, what if she misunderstood what I meant? Maybe she saw it 3 hours ago, the screen is empty, but your brain treats this silence like a system error that needs a manual fix. You pick up the phone, your thumb hovering over the keyboard to send that second text to lighten the mood. What you're experiencing is an anxious attachment spike. Your brain is stuck in overdrive, lying to you, convincing you that more words will bridge the gap. But look at the reality of that impulse. Most guys give into that anxious energy and send something like, "Hey, did you get my last text? Just wanted to make sure you weren't mad or anything." The moment you press send, you've subconsciously signaled that your emotional state is dependent on her validation. You aren't fixing the conversation, you're confirming your own lack of stability. What if I told you that this exact moment of panic is where most guys lose their leverage before a single word is even spoken? Let's talk about the cold truth society never told you. I've been that man. I sat with my phone and watched a conversation go cold, telling myself, maybe if I just explain my intentions better, she'll understand. We do this because we're trained to be fixers. But in the world of attraction, trying to fix a vibe only destroys it. Most men live under a social illusion. They believe that the more effort they pour in, the more she'll eventually see their value. Think about the guy who spends 3 days planning a perfect, fancy dinner for a first date. He's the one sending those good morning and good night texts at exactly 7 a.m. to prove his consistency. He thinks he's building a bridge. In reality, he's creating an investment asymmetry. High effort without established attraction doesn't signal commitment. It signals low status. Evolutionary biology follows the law of least effort. The individual with the higher value is almost always the one who is least required to adjust their behavior to the other. She doesn't fall for your effort, she responds to your energy. Most men trap themselves in a loop, hoping that if they do enough, she'll finally choose them. But her brain is processing a different biological reality. It's thinking, he's working too hard. If he's this desperate to impress me, he must not have other options. If you try to buy interest through overinvestment, you lose your leverage. Because once she realizes you're performing, the mystery is dead. To understand why your fixing is actually breaking the attraction, we need to dive into the 5 specific moments where your non-reaction becomes your greatest weapon. Think about the way you handle the wait, she replies to your message after 4 hours with a short 3-word sentence. Your instinct is to fire back a response in 10 seconds to keep the momentum alive. But instead, you put the phone down, you finish your project, you hit the gym, and you respond 1 hour later when you're actually free. This is what we call preselection signaling. When you don't react to her delay, you're telling her subconscious that your reality is full. You aren't prioritizing a stranger over your own life's mission. Anxious guys will reply in 0.2 seconds with something like, "Hey, yeah, I'm free, what's up?" But the grounded move is responding an hour later, simply stating, "Just finished up some work. That sounds interesting." You treat your time as a finite resource, not a 24/7 gift for her to consume. She needs to see that you have a world that exists without her. But texting is the easy part. The real test happens when you're standing right in front of her. Imagine you're on a date, and she gives an opinion you completely disagree with, maybe about a movie or a social issue. Most guys will nod along, terrified that a disagreement will kill the vibe. They trade their honesty for a fake sense of harmony. She's performing a congruence test. Her brain is checking if your spine is easily bent by a pretty face. A man who can't stand his ground on a small opinion is a man who can't protect anything significant. The agreeable man says, "Oh yeah, you're totally right. I guess I didn't think of it that way." But when you are grounded, you say, "Interesting point, but I actually see it differently. Here's why." When you push back calmly, you create sexual tension. You're showing her that your internal compass is stronger than her external influence. But here's the thing. True stability isn't just about what you say. It's through how you handle the traps she sets for your attention. Think about how most men react when she sends a provocative selfie or brags about a small win. Their thumbs move faster than their brains, firing off emojis, and "you're so beautiful" as if they're waiting for a treat. She's setting a validation trap, and her brain is fishing for a hit of dopamine. If you give it away the second she asks, you've just taught her that her existence alone is enough to own your attention. You need to practice dopamine rationing. When you aren't providing the exact high she expects, she has to work harder to find out why. Most guys act like a fan, but a grounded man acts like a judge. The fan cries out, "Wow, you look absolutely stunning. Best photo I've seen all day." But the grounded response is much more selective. "That lighting is great. Where was this taken?" You aren't being unimpressed to be mean, you are simply being selective with your approval. This forces her to bring more to the table than just a filtered image. But these small tests are nothing compared to the storm that hits when her emotions turn cold for no apparent reason. This is the defining moment where most men surrender their power without realizing it. Imagine she suddenly goes silent without warning, no explanation, just a cold wall. Maybe she becomes unreasonable or throws a blatant compliance check your way to see if you'll bend. Your instinct is to chase the conflict, asking, "What did I do wrong?" or "Are we okay?" Stop. Biologically, women have a more fluctuating emotional system, and she is subconsciously looking for an anchor. She is checking to see if your emotional baseline can be dragged down into her storm. This is the ultimate trade-off. Most men trade their stability for temporary peace by apologizing for things they didn't even do. When you do this, you lose her respect forever because you've proven you can be manipulated by her mood. Internal stability over external approval means your reality is the primary one. If she is being chaotic, she is the one stepping out of your frame, not the other way around. You don't react to her signals. You dictate the environment by remaining unshakable. This is emotional baseline calibration. By staying calm while she is swirling, you prove that you are the solid ground she actually wants to stand on. But there is one final signal that usually makes even the strongest men fold: the mention of another man. She mentions a guy at the office, maybe Mark from accounting, or an old friend who just moved back to town. She's watching your face, waiting for that 0.5-second twitch of the jaw or a sudden change in your voice. This is an abundance mindset simulation. If you get defensive, you're confessing that you view other men as a threat to your position. Jealousy is a loud confession of insecurity. The insecure man asks, "Why are you always talking about him? What's his deal anyway?" But when you are grounded, you simply say, "He sounds like a cool guy. Anyway, I was telling you about..." By remaining unbothered, you demonstrate that your value isn't something she can threaten. Silence, in this context, is a quiet declaration of power. But what does all of this add up to? Look, none of these signs are about playing a game. They are about the law of detachment. You only truly have what you are fundamentally ready to walk away from. Silence is not rejection. Silence is clarity. If she is constantly testing your boundaries or playing games with your time, your non-reaction isn't about winning her over anymore. It's about auditing her place in your life. If she chooses chaos over your stability, let her. You didn't lose her. You protected your reality from an unstable element. Remember the core truth. Women don't love the man who does everything right. They love the man who cannot be moved by their emotions. Knowing someone is attracted to you is one thing, but knowing what to do next without ruining it is another. If you've ever felt that burning urge to double text or apologize just to fix the vibe, drop a comment below. Trust me, we've all been there, and recognizing that impulse is the first step to mastering it. Your stability isn't a tactic you turn on and off. It's your new baseline. Don't spend your energy trying to prove you're good enough. Know you're good enough and make her prove she's worth being part of the reality you've built. Stay grounded.